I know it's been a while, but good to have you back on with college football season now in full swing.
Yeah, it's great to see you, and don't mind my office here. I am in an Uber on the way to the airport to call the Oregon State game. So, regardless, we're just talking football, so it doesn't need to be sexy. And excited to break things down with you.
Yeah, well, let me start you off with the Ducks of Oregon. Dante Moore, I know a lot of us are waiting to see what it's going to look like next week up against Penn State. But Oregon, anyone you put in front of them, they've been dominating to start this season. And Dante Moore, I know he's been there now for 2 years, but it seems like he's really rocking and rolling for Dan Lanning and the Ducks.
Yeah, listen, I mean, Oregon doesn't have a win over Texas. And Ohio State deserves to be ranked number one in the AP polls. But if you just looked at it just from the pure film standpoint and the product that's being put on the field, I think Oregon has a really, really strong case for them to be ranked number one in college football. You know, it's crazy how much they lost to the NFL last year. And my first game of the season was Oregon-Montana State. So you get to talk to Dan Lanning and the staff. And he told us straight up, he said, listen, I believe we have more winning football players on this year's roster than last year, meaning they have more depth, more talent. That's just credit to Oregon, you know, their ability to reload through the transfer portal and recruiting. And Dante Moore, look, that guy is a future first-round pick. They might have to go back to the portal this year because I think Dante Moore will have a serious decision to make after the season. He's a first-round talent potential, maybe top 15, top 10. And their coordinator, Will Stein, remember, he's coached Bo Nix and Dylan Gabriel. He's coached some great quarterbacks. He just flat out told us, he said, when it's all said and done here, I think Dante Moore has a chance to be the best we've ever seen. So really strong statement from the coaching staff.
Yeah, no doubt about that. I think Coach Stein could eventually be a head coach one day as well. Jake Butt here with us. A highly anticipated QB matchup this weekend. Bryce Underwood going to Nebraska to face Dylan Raiola. This is a huge performance and a huge potential opportunity for Nebraska. And also it's a chance for Michigan to show what they were 2 weeks ago up against Oklahoma is really not what they're about this year. How about the quarterback matchup that we're going to see Saturday afternoon in Lincoln?
Man, it's the quarterback matchup. It's the coaching matchup of Matt Rule year 3. Biff Poggi's on the sidelines with Sharon Moore being suspended. Dana Holgerson, I think he's been key. The Nebraska play caller offensively, he's been key for what has allowed Dylan Raiola to take those strides under center. So Dana Holgerson against Wink Martindale. This game is so important. You know, for Nebraska, it's been this slow building process. It's mental, it's emotional. Starting last year, they finally get to a bowl game. They win a bowl game. They've won their last 2 one-score games. So all these little dragons, these mental dragons they've had to slay, Michigan is now the next in line. I think the Cornhuskers are saying, if we can beat Michigan at home without their head coach facing that 5-star 18-year-old phenom in Bryce Underwood, look at their schedule. It's going to start. We're going to be talking about the Cornhuskers as a potential playoff team. The number one thing that will decide this game, though, is Nebraska's defense. Can they stop Michigan's running game? Cincinnati was able to run all over them. Brendan Sorsby, the quarterback of Cincinnati, was able to run all over him. Bryce Underwood is a much bigger talent, legs, arms across the board than Sorsby. And we know Michigan likes to run the ball. If Michigan can comfortably run the ball for 5 or 6 yards throughout the day, it doesn't matter what Nebraska does offensively. So that's the most important matchup to watch here.
You talked about how if Nebraska wins this one, they'll get talked about as a college football playoff team down the road. Going into this season, Illinois was viewed as a college football playoff team. I'm very curious to see what type of effort you're going to get this weekend from Indiana, who's in the top 25. Fernando Mendoza's done a really good job for them. But last year, Curt Cignetti put Indiana on the map, and a lot of us are going to wonder this year, how much regression will there be? So I'm very curious to see what type of Indiana team you're going to get up against a very good Illinois squad.
You know, Curt Cignetti is single-handedly responsible for additional stress on a number of head coaches because every program sitting here saying, Cignetti in year 1 turned around Indiana. Why can't you do it? I mean, it's an unbelievable standard that he set for college football and a standard that he set for himself. I like their roster this year better than I did last year. I mean, I love the Hoosiers roster. Fernando Mendoza, I mean, Curtis Rourke was a good quarterback, don't get me wrong, but Fernando Mendoza, he's a guy that has a chance to be a first-round pick. I think CBS had him mocked, and I know it's a September mock draft as the #1 overall pick here, but it speaks to his talent. Here's going to be the chess match, though. Illinois has a very specific defense. They are aggressive. It's the 5-man front. They play press man coverage outside. They have the highest pressure rate of any defense in the Power Four. Over 60% of their defensive play calls are bringing pressure. They also have the 6th highest rate of man coverage in all of college football. So there it is. Aggressive, pressure, and play man coverage. Mendoza, when he's facing zone coverage and he's not pressured, he is a top 3 quarterback in terms of PFF grade. So zone coverage, not pressured, top 3 quarterback in college football. Illinois does pressure and plays man coverage. PFF has Mendoza's grade against man coverage and under pressure as a bottom 100. He's outside the top 100 in terms of PFF grades for all FBS quarterbacks. It's a small sample size, but that's a big, big thing to watch here. Is Mendoza able to throw into tight windows under pressure this weekend against Illinois?
Wrap it up with Jake Butt. Someone who's not been off to a good start this season is Florida. DJ Lagway threw 5 interceptions last week. It feels like Billy Napier. It's not a matter of if he's going to get fired, but just as to when. They're going up against Miami. Rivalry games, anything could happen. You know that. Like last year, who thought Michigan was going to beat Ohio State, and that was one of my favorite games of the college football season.
Me too.
Do you give? Yeah, I know for you as well. Do you give any chance to Florida this week, or is it just Mario Cristobal and Carson Beck are red hot, and it's too late for DJ Lagway and Billy Napier?
Of course, I mean, you got to give them a chance for every reason you just said. And it's football. It's any given Sunday, any given Saturday in this instance. You got to give them a chance. And I would say, I mean, this is literally a must win for a number of reasons, for the head coach, for the quarterback, and just for the Florida Gators all in all. They have got to find a way to win this game. I just don't see it happening, though. Miami, the offensive line is the best offensive line in college football. And Carson Beck, when you look at his grades, when he's kept clean, he's one of the more dangerous quarterbacks in all of college football. So I think Miami's going to be able to keep Beck clean. I think he's going to pick apart the Florida defense. And DJ Lagway, I just don't know, man. We were all expecting to see him take major strides. Clearly, the kid's talented. He's got all the talent in the world, but he just leaves things to be desired, and there's too many mistakes and self-inflicted wounds. Even when he's not under pressure being blitzed, it's really shocking. So I'm rocking with the Hurricanes in this matchup.
You know, I'll tell you, when we look at the disappointment of college football this season, Jake Butt, Notre Dame's 0-2. Clemson is sitting there at 1-2. Arch Manning has not played well. Out of those 3 options, when you look at Notre Dame, you look at Arch Manning, and then you look at Clemson, who do you have the most confidence in to turn it around by the end of the season?
Notre Dame. I'm really concerned about Arch Manning. I don't know what's going on there. I would say Notre Dame, it's more a product of what a tough hand they drew in terms of playing 2 of the best teams in college football to start your season. When you're introducing a new quarterback, you're introducing a ton of new pieces because you graduated guys to the NFL. The only concern with Notre Dame is how are they not able to get pressure? Very shocking that they aren't able to make opposing quarterbacks' life hard. But it sounds like Marcus Freeman is going to spend more time with the defense, and they're going to solve that problem. So I still think that's a really talented roster. Notre Dame, there's a bunch of games on their schedule though that will not be easy. It's not going to be an easy path to get to 10 wins, but I think they're capable. What will be interesting if it's a 9-3 Irish team, is that enough to get in the playoffs? But I think the Irish will figure it out.
You know, something else, just following up what you said about Arch Manning. I heard him say earlier in the week it's more mental than physical right now. That's really concerning to me because you don't know when that turns around. And with all the preparation, with this family lineage, we always just thought the moment wouldn't be too big for him. When you hear him say it's more mental than physical right now, his struggles, that has to be alarming, right, as a player?
Oh, it is. It's certainly alarming. It's almost like the yips in baseball, where it's just like you got guys that have been able to throw the ball their entire life, and for whatever reason, there's just some like biochemical issue where it's just not the neurons aren't firing properly. And I feel for him, man, because I think that Ohio State game, he was seeing ghosts. I mean, Matt Patricia came out there and completely had the upper hand in terms of coverages. They were bringing pressure on Arch. And you kind of go back, though, look back at his high school. He wasn't playing in a powerhouse conference against powerhouse competition back in high school. He was throwing to wide open guys, and it was kind of easy for him. And obviously now playing in the SEC, this is a big jump in terms of skill. I'm concerned. I'm concerned for Arch, and I'm concerned for Texas.
Last thing I'll ask you, Jake Butt, does a great job for the Big Ten Network. Let me just delve out and move out of the Big Ten once again. Sawyer Robertson this weekend of Baylor is going up against Sam Leavitt of Arizona State. A huge matchup for both those teams because they both already have a loss in the resume. And then you get Baron Morton at Texas Tech going up against Devin Dampier with Utah. And that's a game that a lot of people are circling. Just how about those two matchups this weekend when you take a glance at Baylor and Arizona State and then also Texas Tech up against Utah?
Yeah, Baylor and Arizona State, that one has a chance to be really high scoring. I think Sawyer Robertson has a chance. I mean, he's a dark horse Heisman guy. I don't know exactly what his odds are, but the numbers he's putting up are phenomenal. And, Baylor would need to win a ton of games. Obviously, Arizona State, that's a really strong program. They've been building that the right way. And then it's Texas Tech, Utah. 10 a.m. local kickoff. That is just like, I cannot wrap my head around that. 10 a.m. local. But what else is there to do in Utah? They're going to be showing up and showing out for their fans. I think that one's going to be a low-scoring game, though. That's a defensive battle. It's early in the morning. I can see it to be a slow start. But Texas Tech, one of the best offensive lines and defensive lines in college football. Utah, always one of the better programs in college football. I just think that's going to be a low-scoring game.
Yeah, and a good coaching matchup as well with Joey McGuire going up against Kyle Whittingham. All righty, safe travels. Thank the Uber driver for us, and a big thanks to you, Jake Butt, for joining us today.
Thank you. We'll see you soon.